Now, I keep talking about these file access modes. We've talked about R and W. There are actually a huge number of different file access modes across Python. Um, the, Far more than you will ever want to use. So I'm not going to go into showing you all of the different modes. I'm simply going to show you the four most common ones that you are likely to use. To be honest, three of those are more common than the other. So R basically means open the file read-only and start at the beginning of the file. W, which we just saw, means open the file write-only and start at the beginning of the file. Now, there may be situations where you want to both read and write in the same file operation, in which case you could use W plus, which means open it in read and write and start at the beginning of the file. Generally, though, you probably are doing things either this operation will write some stuff or this operation will read some stuff. So you probably won't use this one as much. This one you may, though, in fact, particularly for modelling, you may use this quite a lot. And this is A, which stands for append mode. Now, append mode basically means open the file in a write mode that starts at the end of the file. Okay, so rather than starting at the beginning of the file, append mode will find the current end of the file and it will start there. Now, you're probably already working out why this might be useful. So if you were to use write mode, let's say you were writing a file, you built a model, and you wanted to write out after each run of the model, you wanted to write out to a results file that was collecting all the results. Okay, and that's something you may well do. If you were to open it each time in W mode, in write mode, every time you open the file, it will start from the beginning and it'll overwrite the last results. Now, sometimes that's what you want. Sometimes you may want this file to be written as the results from this particular run. But if you're collating lots of stuff and you're adding to it as you go, then you probably want it in append mode. And append mode will do the same thing, but it will start at the end. So it'll add it on to the end of what you've already got. Whereas W will start from the beginning. Basically, it'll overwrite what you already have. Now, it's important to state that the W, W plus, and A modes will create a new file with whatever file name you've given if that file does not exist. Okay, so if that file doesn't already exist, it will create a brand new file. But it won't do that if you use a read mode, because obviously that doesn't make sense. If you're opening it in read mode, it needs to read something. If that file doesn't exist, it can't do that. And it will then throw up an error, which hopefully you've caught via an exception handle. And as I say, if you do want to add to a file, you need to make sure you open it in append mode. If you use write mode, it's going to start at the beginning and it will wipe out your file. So also be very careful from this point forward about throwing around file names in your directory structure, opening in write mode. You could end up overwriting files that you don't mean to. So be careful with that. And part of the reason why we advise during the training to have all your HSMA materials in a kind of its own folder. So just be, because you can always re-download stuff from HSMA. So just be aware of that. Don't go giving file names of important files that you need to use for other stuff and opening them in W mode and then accidentally overwriting them, because you can do that. Depending on the file permissions, you may have administration locks on it, of course.